Can you talk about unity? I have some experience that are very beautiful of love, but the things in me are very compartmented, no? Very separate. I could like to know and to focus more in unity.
You know, things are comparted or in compartments because of the intellect. And it's because of your structure. We have structures. We look at something and we box it. It's this, 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 and this. It might be real, it might not, but we're projecting onto that. And as humans, we have different roles. We have roles, for your case, the businesswoman, the wife, the mother, and then you. That innocence, that playfulness, that essence of who you really are. You have all of these things, but you identify with the ones of the intellect. And then when you're in consciousness, you identify with the non-identification, which is just the emptiness and the totality. So it's really about just focusing on that and letting go of all other ideas, but allowing them to melt. It's not that you say, oh, I'm not going to think about that, or I'm not going to think about that. You know, because people always identify themselves with a certain aspect. Many people identify themselves with their minority, which is insane, because it's a tiny little aspect of your human experience. But we identify with that. And we have to identify or not identify with the emptiness, with that silence, with that flow, moving into totality. Because that's who we are. Everything else is illusionary in the sense that it changes all the time. So the more open you are to not identify, to be open, trying not to judge, try not to put things in compartments, including other people, just being open and letting go of prejudice, ideas, judgments, until there's a neutrality that gives you that freedom and silence. It just is, it is, it is. I am that. And in one moment, your energy will move into that, because unity is an energetic experience, and it moves into everything. Huh? And yes, well, then that's it. You see through. And you don't really have glimpses of unity. You have expansions of consciousness. But unity is not a glimpse. It's an explosion into totality. And then, you know truth. Good.
I receive the destroying of ignorance. And can you talk what it means, ignorance?
You know, basically this facet is working energetically on everything that's based in separation, everything that's robotic, impulsive, repetitive, based in drama, that's hooked into our illusion of victim and suffering. You know, that's ignorance. I don't know if you've watched humans, but they just repeat the same patterns over and over and over. It's what Satya calls the programs.
Eso que Satya llama las programaciones.
But it's like the programs are in a loop.
Las programaciones van en círculos, ¿no?
They're in a loop
Son en círculo
constantly.
constante.
And always that loop
Ese círculo
takes you back to the
te lleva
victim,
de vuelta a la víctima,
back to the
de
suffering.
vuelta al sufrimiento.
Or it takes you into a place of violent response.
De violencia a tu respuesta.
Okay, all of these aspects are ignorance. That's why Jesus says, forgive them, Father, they don't know what they do. Because humans don't know what they do. Because of the base of fear,
La base del miedo,
they react.
reacciona.
Because of their structured belief systems, they react. You're programmed from a child
Son desde niña.
to have all these belief systems.
Entonces, para tener esos sistemas de creencia,
And it depends where you land.
¿de dónde aterrizar?
If you're a Hindu, an Arab, a Christian, if you're from South America, wherever, first world country, third world country,
Segundo país o tercer
your social status,
estatus social,
your physicality, your intellect,
o tu intelecto,
like it all creates
todo eso puede crear
an illusion. And you think you're that.
piensas que eres eso.
You have no concept of who you are. And that is constructed on a base of fear.
Se construye en una base de miedo.
Okay? And it needs to be defended.
Necesita ser defendido.
And there's also the suffering aspect that always takes you to the same point. Like someone's doing something to you.
Te está haciendo alguien a ti.
You don't have control over your response. You're not taking responsibility.
Tomando responsabilidades.
And all of that
Y todo eso
changes with the expansion of consciousness. You know, I'm not a teacher.
yo no soy maestra.
I don't teach anything.
Yo no enseño nada.
I destroy what's not real. I show you what's not real.
Lo que no es real.
And you have to let it go. I'll say that's not it, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. Because there's nothing to learn.
En realidad no hay nada.
You're already that.
Tú ya eres eso.
Okay? You just have to let go of what's not real.
Mira aquello que no es real en ti.
Hmm? So that's ignorance. It's that repetitive program that leads to the victim, that identifies with what we've been taught
Aquello que se nos ha enseñado.
and what we believe about ourselves.
Creemos sobre nosotros mismos.
And none of it's true.
Nada de eso es verdad.
It's not real.
No es real.
In the big picture,
Panorama grande de la cosa.
it's not real. It's just an aspect of our human experience.
La experiencia humana.
Yeah, but everything has to dissolve through consciousness.
Resolverse a través de la conciencia.
There gets a point where you start to identify only with your consciousness. And you live in every moment. You don't regret the past. You see as a tool for the future. Yeah? And that's the human behaviors. Always looking back, 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 back. Worrying, worrying, worrying. Worrying about the future. Worrying about the past. Instead of giving 100% to this moment. That's ignorance as well. And it's stupidity. Because what can you do?
¿Qué es lo que puedes hacer?
Nothing.
Nada.
Suffer.
Sufrir nomás.
It's another thing we've been taught.
Esa es otra cosa que se nos ha enseñado.
So you have to see your domestication.
La domesticación que sufriste.
You have to see it
También es verdad.
and start letting it go
Dejarla ir.
from a place of love.
Y hacerlo en un lugar de amor.
How can I capture, recapture that innocence? And so why is it important that we recapture that innocence, and how can I best do that?
¿Cómo lo podemos hacer de buena manera?
You know, innocence is joy. It's spontaneity. It's the freedom to be real, but within a mature experience. I mean, you can't function in the world as a child, but you can have the innocence of a child. So we basically go through a human experience, and a lot of it's based in suffering and the future and the past. So we come back to a more playful essence where we're not worried about what other people think. She's not walking around worrying about what other people think. She doesn't care. You know, and obviously all of humanity can't be like that because we have some structural form. But we can be innocent. We can be joyful. We can forget about our image and worrying about what people think. You know, people don't enjoy themselves because they're worried about what people think. Or if I dance, I'm not a good dancer. If I sing, I'm not a good singer. If I say that, oh, people won't love me. And we see it everywhere. This need for external approval. It's like a vampire, no? Needs blood. Humans need approval. Love me, approve of me, approve of me. And it's the most torturous thing that exists. And it doesn't come from innocence. There's no innocence. And it's very complex, stressful, tiring, and it's saying, there's something wrong with me. Something wrong with me. And also, when we're innocent, we can love. We can feel love. And we can tell people we love them. But just anyone. I tell people I love them, and they look at me like I'm mentally unbalanced. Especially in Europe, no? Latins are a bit more, yeah, I love you too. But but the others are like, what do you mean you love me? Oh, I said, don't worry, I love everyone. It's just general. And they're like, weird, really weird. You know, like it's a big deal to love someone.
Can you talk about omniscience?
You know, omniscience is within everyone, no? And you'll notice, this is why I love it when you guys do support each other. Like listening to stress and responding. Because you'll start to notice, because of your own experience, you start to have this energy that's coming from your consciousness, this clarity. It's not just words, it's truth. It comes from within you without thinking. It just comes. And that's your omniscience. That's your consciousness, and it's within everyone. Once you take the plug out and stop worrying about what everyone thinks, and if you're saying it right, or if it's correct, but you start to trust in your own experience, you'll start to hear the voice of omniscience. It comes naturally. You know, once you connect with your heart, everyone has that. And when you enlighten, then all comes. Everything comes at once. But this is the beginning. So when you do expression, and that energy comes, and the answer comes, that's your omniscience.
During my process, while I was expressing, they were reflecting, teachers and facilitators, to be more open to receive the love, to be open to receive the love. And I don't understand what is to receive love and how to do it.
It's easy. You say yes. You don't defend. You stay silent. And you open. And that's it. You stay in a place of innocence. Stop running everything through the computer. Because you do that, don't you? Yeah, you've even got a screen on your face. You are a computer. I can see that. You're one of those geeky people, yeah? Yeah. Forget it. You got to be open. You got to be innocent. And don't question everything. Because at some point, if you open to receive love, it will touch you automatically. And the protection will fall by itself. You know, there's not a rational way to do these things. Because it wasn't rational how you created the blocks. None of you even know. It's not something rational. It's something emotional. So you have to be open to release. Yes, that's all. And you have to start trusting. You know, if the teachers are talking to you, they're giving you love. But automatically, like little children, we feel criticized. And then we start going, that's not true. I don't see that. I'm not like that. Of course you are. Of course you're like that. Everyone is, until they're not. No one's open to receive love until they are. And it's a process because we don't think we deserve it. Yeah? So just be like that. You know, a flower opens to receive the sun. Be a flower. Just open. It doesn't ask questions. Just opens. Yeah? It's like that. Is the sea. Next question.
I grew up in a very violent home with a lot of addiction. And I want to know how to detach from my history to stop identifying with it.
You know, I'm sure lots of people here came from violent homes. And there's many forms of violence. There's emotional violence, physical violence, abandonment. Some are more extreme than others. But as children, we're all impacted. No one ever sits there or matures and don't suffer some aspect of their infancy. We all experience that. Because humans are violent. So you have to stop identifying with it. You need to feel it, but not be a victim to it. You know, these extreme situations. Annie, for example, she come from a very extremely violent family. Horrible family. Sorry, but it's true. But really, and she grew beyond that. She used it to be amazing. And she could have used it for the exact opposite. So whatever you perceive as your emotional handicap, use that as the trampoline to go further forward. You know, it's a great gift. Because once you let that go, you fly. You know, I look at my life, and it's not that my parents were particularly bad at all. They were quite amazing. But what I did to myself was horrific. Incredible. No one could have been worse to me than me. That lack of love, that self-violence, the non-loving. And you transform that until you're free of it. And it's a great gift because then you give it to other people. You know, people can tell me anything. You can't shock me because I did everything. So it's a great thing. Because then you can say, well, you know, that's not real. You can go beyond that. You can get past that. You can be more than that. But you have to start with you. And stop feeling like a victim to it. You know, and focus more on what you have. I see this place, you don't appreciate yourself. You know, you have many beautiful qualities. Starting with your face. You know, start being more appreciative of you instead of focusing on everything you think's wrong. None of us look like Barbie. Barbie's a doll.
I want to have more clarity in between a mantra and a facet.
Om Ram, Om Ram, Om Ram, Om Ram, Om Ram, Om Mani Padma Hri, Om Shiva, Namah, 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 Om Namah Shiva, Om Namah Shiva, Om Namah Shiva. Oh God, I'm getting dizzy. Okay, a mantra is to protect the mind. They're specifically used so you don't think. Sharim, 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 sharim. It's self-hypnotism. You go, this is a mantra, okay? And it takes you into a place, a hypnotic place. And yes, you usually fall asleep. It's very quick. It's like hypnosis. And it stops you from thinking. You don't leave a gap. You don't expand consciousness. The facets are the consciousness. I know so many people, including myself, that did transcendental meditation, many different things of chanting, Buddhism, Hinduism, you know, all of India. If it got you enlightened, the whole country would be enlightened. And all of the Muslims too, 4 times a day. It's the same thing. Okay, so the facets are reality of enlightenment, and they have a very high vibration, and they work with the thoughts. We're not trying to get rid of the thoughts. And I'm not saying mantras are bad. They're fine if people do mantras. It's better than thinking all the stupidities that they think, because that's what they do all day. You know, and often they're very negative. But the facet, you'll see the difference. Everyone sees the difference. There's initially resistance, and then you start to stabilize the experience.
What can I do not to be so affected, no? Because affects me so much what they think. And I don't want to be more affected, and especially it happens. I feel with certain people, homophobic people, I feel so much more rejection there.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a secret. You need to stop. When someone says something, you always defend, but with a violence, no? Or an energetic block. You don't allow yourself to be vulnerable. If you're completely vulnerable, my eyes hurt. If you're completely vulnerable and you just open and allow it to touch you and then be emotional. And that's the hardest thing for you because you're a provoker. You prefer to attack before you get hurt. And you have to change that. You have to do this. Now with your new haircut and you look like a little Buddha, you need to do that. Open and feel so that you become empty. And then everything people say are like the wind through your hair.
How to measure consciousness?
Well, Davy, Romy, she has a conscious meta. And we have a bed upstairs, And she puts all these things. And I think Rodrigo helps with this too. She puts it on the hands, and Rodrigo puts it on the feet, no? And the machine, it's like one of those things you read batteries, no? And it's sort of, they ask you questions about consciousness, and they take readings. And then they do a general accumulation of numbers, and then they grade you. And if there's any sort of variation you need, Rodrigo will put magnets. And Davey will say mantras. Okay? And if you're lucky, Uma will come in with some incense. You're welcome. Cuesta. Money is my friend, 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 money is my friend.
That security that gives us to know what's the limit, what I like and what I don't. Who am I? That the definition. And I saw that many of us, when we ask that, is like from an energy of wanting to know who am I, to feel comfortable and under control, and to ask how to let go of that need to know what's my definition or my limit.
You know, it's all intellectual. Love's love. And it's open to everything. It doesn't have to have a ticket. And this is what I'm talking about. We put ourselves in boxes to make ourselves feel safe. And then if we step out of the box, oh, I'm gay. And then that becomes the principal aspect of our being. And it's not. It's an aspect. A small aspect. You understand? All of these aspects are possible in any level of consciousness. And the younger generation are more and more balanced in their sexuality, because we all have masculine and feminine. That doesn't mean you'll be attracted, but you might be. And if you are, great. What does it matter? What does it matter? Oh, it matters to my image. What image? What's important? Oh, what other people think. But it's what you think. And you have to clean that. You have to clean it until it's free. And you're free to love. It doesn't matter if it's a man, a woman, a dog, a cat. Don't you have sex with my dog. Dog or cat. It doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying? You know, you've got to let that go. You have to let it go. What does it matter? You know, everyone here is beautiful. Men, women, open hearts. Yeah, you're going to be attracted. Why not? Does it matter? Does it matter? No. Or it matters? No?
In my process, I saw clearly how rigid and exigent I am with myself, and also with the others many times. I can see that exigence that helped me in my life to achieve many things. But here, I feel that it takes me from one extreme to the other, and I cannot find the balance, that middle point. Always I go always they tell me, be more loving with yourself, and I'm not able to do. And I want you to talk how to pass from exigence to excellence, lovingly.
You know, exigence works. Works well. and then you let it go because it's violent. It makes you focus, it makes you competitive, it makes you give 100%, all of these things. And obviously, it creates success. I'm exigent, obsessive, until I get what I want. But then you start to see it's a place of violence because it's never enough, never enough, never enough, never enough. And that's not excellence. Excellence is constant. It's just like that. It's joyful, it's centered, it's not judging. If it's extreme, it's like a rhythm. Oh, it's extreme. It's fast. The music's fast. It's strong. Oh, okay, now I need to come back to here. Oh, now it's too slow. You have to just keep coming back to the middle. There's the crescendo, there's the emptiness, and then you come back here, back here, back here. It's like an orchestra. You know, it has peaks and it has softness. You have to find that. And that's how you have to live, in that central part. And you see the variance. It's like the climate. And yes, humans do it too. But you can't live there. You have to keep coming back. You have to keep coming back. And that's love. That peace, that flow, that calm. Just being. But you feel it energetically. And you have to be able to catch it. You know, when you get into that fanaticism, there's an energy, no? It's like an adrenaline. Oh, I have to focus more. Oh, I'm doing it wrong. And there's a voice, the judge. Boom, 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 boom. Stop. That doesn't serve. That's not love. That's not God. Back here. Middle path, middle path. It's everything Buddha went through. One extreme to the other extreme. All served. All served. But in one point, you have to come to the middle and let go. And that's when you find unity. And it's only life. You know, we think everything's so important. Everything's so important. Oh, everything's the end of the world. Is it? No. It's just rigidity and addiction to suffering. You know, I was racing the other day, and I have a champion horse, and she's going to a big competition. And she's running in front because she's a champion. And then in the end, the other two horses they took them crazy fast. But insane. And I stopped her. I said, no, because I have to look after her. Because I want to take her to the big championship. I don't want to win some stupid race. And my competitiveness, knowing I can win, I know she can go faster. I know she can beat those horses. But she is more important. So that part of me, which is pretty antique now, it's not very important anymore, but it came up, like, after 120 kilometers and 8 hours, these kids are going to beat me? I don't think so. And I stopped. And I put her at a speed I thought was perfect to test that she was okay. They all went insane, the two in front. And you know what? They arrived, couldn't get the horses' hearts down, and they were out, and I won. So But what's the story? It's about consciousness, about that letting go of the competitiveness, the exigence, the need to be the best, and have a more holistic perception of what's important. And for me, it was her, not my ego. And that's what happened. She crossed the line. I win, I win, I win. She was very happy. Yeah, and healthy, no? Nothing. So you have to remember that with yourselves. It's the same thing. If you push too hard, you break. It's simple. You have to find a rhythm. A rhythm that's excellent. Excellent rhythm.
I always was extremely exigent with myself and my life always. Since I was a child, was very, very exigent. And when I started with this process, and we were talking about the mantras and the Buddhism that I used to practice, I felt as it took me much more to be more exigent, to be pushing myself more and more in the process. And I think the excellence that you said is a more loving path with myself, and I identify with that. How exigent and violent I was.
Good. You know, that ascetic rigidity that people associate with spirituality, that doesn't look after the body, that sort of rejects joy, that doesn't serve anyone because it's against life. It's against nature. It's against our beingness, our natural joy. And it doesn't expand consciousness. It creates extreme control. So it's good you're seeing that. Because everything is a package. We live in this house. This house we have to take care of. It's also an aspect of our human experience. And we are having a human experience, importing our divinity. Okay, so all of it has to be holistic. And how does holistic behavior look? It's complete. You know, we've been taught the opposite. To renounce, to be ascetic, to be rigid, to punish ourselves, to starve our body, like to torture ourselves. That's divinity. That's expansion of consciousness. And it's got nothing to do with it. Nothing. You know, and Buddha was a classic example. He did all of that. And then he came back to the middle. And all of the masters have always had that middle path. But they're always demonstrated in suffering. And we're a Christian society. So we're so used to seeing Jesus hanging on a cross, cut open, thorns on his head, you know, everything's like that. But it's not like that. And that's what ingrains the fear into humanity. The suffering is divine. And it doesn't work. Because it's a lie. It's against nature. It's against life. And life is joy. Life is joy. Not solemnity and suffering. Don't you think? Haven't you tortured yourselves enough for this life? I think it's enough, no? Gina Lala Brigida, where are you? Why are you barking? Hi, Gina. Hi, everyone. I'm a... Gracias.
Come visit our webpage for books, movies, and our wonderful retreat centers. Isha's simple yet powerful system is transforming lives around the world.